Buckle up, folks. Today is going to be a bit of a long one. A couple weeks ago, I read this article. San Francisco's hottest new DJ is a literal war machine. You got to put a little Los Angeles vocal fry on that one. Bro, that DJ's a literal war machine. Now, ever since I read this article, it has genuinely pissed me off. It kind of took me a few days to figure out why it was making me so irrationally annoyed. And I want to share with you why. The title of this article is obviously an exaggeration. When they say hottest new DJ, we know they're lying because no one knows what this robot is. Before I read this article, if you held up an image of this robot, you put a gun to my head and you said, name this right now, I would say call the ambulance and get a mop. Because it's over. The only black war machine I know is James Rhodes. The article goes on to describe this robot in great detail. The DJ's arms move in smooth, steady arcs. Although the transitions are precise, the fist pumps are almost out of time with the propulsive tech house beats blaring out of the speakers. This reads a little bit like fan fiction. It feels like the robot's going to come suck me off after I finish this paragraph. Once you get past the sort of romantic description of the robotic DJ set, you get to this little nugget of information right here. Phantom, the name of the robot, is the first humanoid robot developed by San Francisco-based startup Foundation Robotics Labs. In the near future, the company's line of humanoid robots could manufacture cars, rove warehouses, and even be deployed by the U.S. military to combat zones. But on Friday, Phantom made his first public appearance not as a weapon of war, but as a DJ. When you get past that paragraph, you find out that the co-founder of the company is very proud that they're developing the robots for war. He kind of takes a jab at other robotics companies who have pledged to not use their weapons for war, and he's sort of like, well, that's what we intend to do, and we're proud of it. Now, I'm not going to pretend my interest in this was like high level at first. I honestly just wanted to see how goofy this thing looked playing a DJ set, because based on the images and the very little footage you can find on it, it looks stupid. It doesn't take much effort to kind of figure out that this company seems like bullshit. There was an article that came out last year about how their co-founder basically lied or exaggerated the involvement of General Motors. GM actually came out and was like, we are not that close, if at all, with this company. And when you go to their website, everything about this company, I don't know, the whole ethos just feels like a 9-year-old wrote it. Scale humanoid robots, $1 billion RRR. They want to be billionaires. Use profits to build a base on Antarctica. And then step 5 is build other technologies needed to build and operate bases on Antarctica, Moon, Mars, and beyond. And then even all the videos of this thing, mind you, it's called the Phantom Mark I. And the only other thing with this name is like a British warplane that was used in World War I. And, it sounds like really scary and intense, but all the media demos are packaging edibles, inspecting rocks the same way I look at my diarrhea, and then pressing a fucking button. Which I guess, if you're launching nuclear missiles and you don't want the guilt, you can just kind of, hey, Phantom, hit the button. Yeah, just like that. There you go. T-minus 5 minutes till millions are dead. Thanks, Phantom. The end goal of the company is pretty obvious on paper. They want to create super soldiers. They want to put these things in combat locally on Earth, and they want to put them on Mars, I guess maybe to kill the SpaceX colony. I don't know. But the thing that pisses me off about this is robotics aren't that far away from us, like in terms of our life. Robots are soon. Okay, if I were to put that into simple words, robots are soon. Robot, not far away. Robot, soon. So I don't appreciate these guys being flippant about a robot where they go, yeah, it's just going to be a killing machine. But as a fun way to introduce it to the world, it's going to play some Tiesto. Yeah. Here at Foundation Labs, we're not like those other hippie robotics companies. No. We want to make some shit that literally kills it. The original article feels like a giant puff piece. It just kind of feels like bullshit. It seems like it's to generate hype to maybe, I don't know, get an investor or get people interested in what they're doing. But if you take the videos from their website and you compare that to everything that's come out in the last 2 weeks, it doesn't hold a candle. It's fucking garbage. Everything I'm about to include next in this video has come out within the last 2 weeks. And again, I genuinely think this is some of the most insane, advancements in robotics. They're pretty crazy. The first one I want to highlight is by a company called Figure. This video is a demonstration of their Helix AI. And I don't want to kind of muddy up the point with the technicals of it, but the feeling I got from this video, I think, is on par with, Mommy, why does Daddy have a gun?
Hey, Figures, can you come here? Okay, I'd like to try something new. Even though this is the very first time that you've ever seen these items, I'd like you to use your new Helix AI and try to reason through where you think they belong in the scene, and then work together to put them away. Does that sound good?
Pacing here is pretty brutal. This feels like two Trader Joe's employees that just took, 50-gram edibles in the parking lot. But, you don't get a sexy little compliment after they bag the grocery items. They're just bagging it and moving on. I'm letting it run because there's a moment that's coming up here that gave me the, mommy, why does daddy have a gun feeling? Wait for it. That right there. They seemingly look at each other and acknowledge each other. Again, it's my understanding that this is like a significant point about this AI, where it's like working together. These are two separate pieces of software essentially, and they are acknowledging each other. I guess it's also implied that these items are the first time they're being seen, and maybe that's part of why they're moving so slow, where they're kind of learning what these things are. Before I continue, it's worth looking at these things from a different angle. There's nothing clever to say here. They just are kind of fucking freaky looking. This whole passing of the bowl is another example of how the AI is sort of groundbreaking because, again, these are supposedly two softwares that are able to work with each other. Now, I always hold a little bit of doubt because, there have been many times where these robotics companies, they put on these demos and you find out, they're being remote controlled. Now, I don't think Figure is bullshitting anyone because even a few days later, they put out another demo of their robots, these Figure robots working in assembly line. And if you compare their website to the Foundation Labs website, the information is a lot more rich and it seems a lot more intentional about what this thing can and is planned to do. Now, I know what you're thinking when you look at this stuff. That's crazy. Yeah, but wait, I have some more for you. Now remember, these two demos dropped within the last couple weeks. In addition to that, in the same 2 weeks, another company, Sanctuary AI, put out a demo of their robot, which has touch sensitivity, which kind of opens up a whole new world for a robot that doesn't have to look at what it's doing. You just know this robot is going to Lenny somebody. You know it. They're going to roll it out. They're like, yeah, it's great with kids. It's going to fucking shake some little boy's hand and then just fucking... Hey, fellas, imagine walking into the doctor's office and that's what's attached to the wall. Just that thing going crazy. Come here. Come here. Time for your prostate exam, big boy. Come here. Yeah, that's right. Get your prostate checked like a good boy. Yeah, you don't want any cancer, do you? An honorary mention past the prostate machine is this musculoskeletal. I don't even know if I'm saying that word right. You can correct me in the comments. It's a robot made by this company called Clone. This thing is disgusting. It looks like something out of Silent Hill. It's fucking gross. All the things they make are pretty terrifying. They look like Pyramid Head. All these ideas of, robots being able to interact with other robots, or robots being able to touch sense their surroundings, robots being able to check your prostate, robots looking human. All of this kind of congeals when you look at another demo that came out in the last couple of weeks by the company 1X, and they're showing off their Neo Gamma. If I was given the task of selling the Neo Gamma, this is what I would say. Have you ever wanted someone that could clean your house that's also trapped in your closet and can never leave? Have you ever wanted a housekeeper that your husband can't get pregnant? What the hell no! Well, look no further than the Neo Gamma. A friend and I were talking about this, and I don't think we're that far away from having these things in your home just like a regular product, where we're all, kind of like doing measuring things like, yeah, I got the Mercedes in-home assistant. Yeah, that Honda one was just a little too cheap on the materials for me. I can tell you right now, the first wave of these things being rolled out in corporate offices, they will be pushed over, shoved in toilets. They're gonna get bullied bad. If robots were to ever I up and kill us, it'll be very obvious at the point where it started, when you tried to make them our friends. I think these things will get bullied and pushed over to no end. So all this stuff, it kind of warrants one reaction. Whoa, that's crazy. And I think that's generally because we don't really give a shit about robotics. This stuff is cool, but it's hard to care about, because we're inundated with so much other news. But it feels like this thing that's kind of quietly growing very rapidly in the background. People want to hear about a robot on two conditions. Can they fuck it or can they kick it? And I mean literally kick it. Right now, it seems like the only viable robotics companies with like consumer level products have a robotic dog you can kick. I don't know what it is. The one that comes to mind the most is this company Unitree. They sell a robotic dog. It's $3,000, and the demonstration video is it's hilarious. First of all, this thing is very talented. Could you imagine strapping a Temu baby to this? I'm gonna run it again, and I want you to imagine a Temu baby strapped to the back of this thing. That's fun, right? Then it goes on to do a handstand. That was pretty good, right? Yeah, one more for good measure. Now you might be sitting here thinking, well, that kick wasn't that bad. Oh, that's not good enough? And I know what you're thinking. I want to take a swing. Imagine this as the piñata, huh? Instead of holding it up by a string, you got some stupid kids, inaccurate as hell. Imagine you just gave all the kids sticks and you're like, chase my Unitree dog. The first one to kill it gets all the candy. Now, this demo video, you would think it ends here. Wow, it's got balance. You can kick it a little bit. You can even hit it with a stick. Now that clip feels pretty mean. I don't know if we should show it again. Okay, all right, we're done. We're done. No more. So, by the way, there's another version of this dog where, let me say this. If I were to ever fall into a coma, I know exactly what I'm strapping my body to. Now, let me say this. This dog is pretty expensive. It's $3,000. It's a lot of money. However, $3,000 isn't that high for an ethical dog kick. A season pass to ethical dog kicking. What do you think? Disneyland for the family? A dog you can kick. I'm not saying I want to kick a dog. I don't want to kick an actual dog. I'm saying that this gives me the ability to have that feeling and not feel bad. I don't want to kick a dog. I want to kick a robotic dog. That's terrible. That's terrible. Roll the clip again. I do think there's something about robots that makes you want to beat them up a little bit. Because even at tech conferences, there are robots that have legs, and people can't resist. They want to give it a little. They want to give it a little push. Kai Cenat actually bought the humanoid robot that Unitree sells, and they had a good time beating that thing up. And the only thing I felt when I was watching that video was, I would like to be there. I would like to also push this thing around. Robots are interesting to me because I think they're part of, a couple different points of technology that all seem like they're headed to a place where they're going to combine. I actually wanted to do another video about 100% AI profiles. I actually have had some people send me some, and they're like, I completely thought this was a real person. I started following them. I had one person who was like, I started following this guy because I thought he was genuinely attractive, and then I realized it was all AI. And again, you may remember my video I did in December where that kind of seemed distant and weird, but it feels like it's actually happening. And I guess as robots start to get better, which they seemingly already are, you got people trying to skin them with like synthetic skin. We're little gremlins, man. We're perverse little creatures. I think the weirdest shit is yet to happen. It's only years away until I can license Josh Richards' image and have my own Josh Richards in my home selling shit in the TikTok shop 24/7. I'm going to start licensing people's likeness and start my own bop house. That's the future, man. I'm going to buy an Airbnb and I'll rent it out when I don't feel like being there, and I'll put all the robots in the garage. I'll have a robotic in-house assistant that cleans up. I won't eat food anymore. I'll get all my sustenance from a single soy pill. And every room that's not my bedroom will be licensed out Josh Richards robots. Just, have you tried Shilajit? Hey, are you going bald? I've got the trick for you. You know, and I have to come back to this shitty DJ robot. I guess it just really annoys me. You know, it reminds me of like that Rabbit R1 product where they're trying to sell you this handheld AI assistant that ended up just being a total piece of shit. It kind of has the same feeling as that for me, because people have been making pretty legit like robot projects. I don't know, in the last like 20 years, especially 10 to 20. I mean, there's that guy on TikTok who advertises his, fucking, you know, GPT-based turret.
ChatGPT, we're under attack from the front left and front right. Respond accordingly.
If you need any further assistance, just let me know.
A standout robot for me is this one called Casper. It was actually made like 15 or 20 years ago, and its purpose is very wholesome. It's designed to interact with children with autism, but if we're being honest, this looks like something that Sid from Toy Story would be dying to get his hands on. He'd probably lock it in a dog kennel and then suspend that dog kennel from a tree. You know, this thing, I think he would love to make it his prisoner. An even crazier one for me, you might remember this from way back, Geminoid HI1. The name is here. We'll just put it on the screen. But basically this engineer recreated himself as a robot, and the idea is he could pilot this thing remotely. You know, he could give lectures, it could be in meetings, and he doesn't have to leave the comfort of his own home, which sounds awesome. Imagine if you could hijack your Dyson in-home assistant. You know, people are like, come through, we're having a kickback, and you're like, let me see what the vibe is. And you send your Dyson in-home assistant to pull up to your buddy's house, and you go, feels kind of lame, or, you know, you're kind of there without being there. You know, you can turn your friend's living room effectively into a Discord server. You can just kind of idle there and pop in and out of the conversation when you feel like it. But he made this, you know, in 2006, and he's remote controlling it. You know, you could even send this thing to war. You could get this thing to press a button. So again, I'm not all impressed when these guys are like, we're making a literal war machine. Now, all this to say, I don't think you can really get mad at someone selling bullshit. You know, the American capitalist system, that's half of what we're all doing. We're just selling some bullshit. I will say, I don't appreciate you trying to sell a robot that you can't kick. So let this be, you know, a little lesson to all you shysters out there. If you're going to sell a robot, it's got, you know, we got to be able to do one of two things. Got to be able to fuck it. We got to be able to kick it. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.